It's Batman time! Hello, welcome to another figure review. Today we're going to have a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman Beyond figure, also known as Batman of the Future, depending on where you watch the cartoon show, that is. And that brings me right into this. I love this design, I love this figure, I love the idea because I'm a big fan of the cartoon show growing up. It was like the first kind of continuation of Batman that was put into a cartoon version, so to speak. So, really big fan of the adventures of Terry McGinnis, and they brought us a little bit of an updated version. This design, I guess, caters more to some of the comic book appearances of the characters, so let's have a look at it. And as always, if you want to see more Batman and other superhero related content, as I'm wearing a Venom t-shirt, you should really subscribe to this channel. So I have black. My camera doesn't really like that, so it just looks dark right now. So it's gonna look weird later. It's because I have to add lighting. It's 18.5 centimeters, by the way. But yeah, if it looks weird later on the video, it's because I'm gonna have to add something in post. It's 7.3, almost 4 inches tall. For your size comparisons, here's Jolter, an SH Figure Arts Batman based on I think the Dark Knight Returns movie, one of them. SH Figure Arts, Son Goku, and Darkseid. Overall look in detail, it's pretty plain, but that's part of the charm, and it is the design. Now, what I was saying earlier about they added some comic book stuff, there's some very thin line work on the face especially, kind of making it look like more of an armor type, even though, like, I mean, it's comic books and stuff, so I shouldn't question that, but how the hell are you wearing armor and still having your face sculpt so cleanly printed on there, like, you know, like the nose and whatnot. By the way, it looks very realistic. I like the face sculpt in general. You have the bat ears and the two round things that kind of are supposed to cover the eyes, ears, I guess. Speaking of the eyes, the white is clean, and that's pretty good considering, like, sometimes you have, like, bleeding issues and, you know, printing white on black. And by the way, the entire body is just black plastic. There's not really much paint other than the eyes, the belt, and I guess the symbol is painted, but then again, the symbol might just be red plastic because it's just kind of put inside of it. You can tell there's like all kind of gaps, and I guess they just left the gap in the mold and then just pushed the bat symbol on there. As such, it does look good. I really like the idea of it. You don't have any issues with bleeding and whatnot, so that's cool. The body mold is muscular, but still slim as Terry would be. And then move down to the gauntlets, which is another added feature, which I don't remember from the show. Kind of has some belt buckles around here that I guess are supposed to signify the gauntlets. And you have this piece, which sticks out, which is just a dumb gimmick for the wings, which I'll have a look at at the end of it. Don't worry about that. You got the belt with some silver on there. It is not really metallic, but it does look good, and red. Now, there, it does go over the line a little bit. It's not super clean, but it's not bad enough for me to get mad about it. Then you got some more muscle work in the thighs going down to the feet. There's no real added detail in that. They left that pretty simple. And then we go to the back where you have the wings. And the wings are connected to the figure, and you cannot take them off. Well, you could, but it's not meant to. As you can tell, it's packed in there, and if I pull on it, they also ratcheted somehow, so they do still in place, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll have to destroy it if I want to take it off. They're also rubbery, but like I'm saying, you pull on it and it doesn't really give. So it's not like something you can just take off, and that's really my biggest issue with the figure. I hate the idea of that. Like, you know, it's cool that you're adding the wings and whatnot, but it shouldn't be forced on. Nothing should ever be forced on. It should be completely optional to have the wings, and that's why I have this weird peg on the back. I mean, it is kind of molded like one of the things on the side, so it's kind of hidden. But yeah, so you can have the pose of that and have them fly around or whatever. Now let's have a look at the articulation. The head moves back and forward actually quite nicely. Back is okay, side to side goes all the way around. Shoulder articulation is packed into the chest, so you can rotate that up and down. Has a little bit of back and forward wiggle and does move up and down, no problem there. You do have a bicep swivel, which at first you don't really notice, but I think the entire biceps is kind of soft-ish plastic as such. It rotates around very nicely. You have the double hinged elbow and a ball hinge in the hand, which they don't really try. Well, it is somewhat hidden, but you know, McFarlane toys, they're pretty straightforward with that stuff. They're not really super well at hiding it, and that's mostly true when you look at the ball joints and at the feet, but we'll get to that. Chest area has some back and forth, side to side, goes all the way around. Crotch piece is soft-ish as such, moves a little bit out of the way if you move the leg forward, moves out to the side, as you can tell it bends over there, and moves to the back, but actually I didn't show you the crotch piece itself, which actually does not really have any motion. Either mine's frozen, or what the hell's going on over here. So that just wiggles side to side, and it does move to the back, but it doesn't move really forward. That's just weird. Okay, haven't even noticed that. Then you have the knees double hinged, nice and ratchet, does stay in place. It's super tight also, by the way, also gotta say that about all the McFarlanes, never had anything really too loose about them. Then we have the feet with the hinge in there, and you can hear it has like a little taps that keep it in place. Yeah, I also have a toe hinge, and by the way, you can move the ball hinge on the upper part, but you barely get a pivot on it. I can't really pivot the feet side to side. You know, if you use the pack and it goes in like this, it has a good pivot, but if it goes in like fairly straight or just like a little bit to the angle, that's where we don't get much out of it. For your accessories, you got the McFarlane staples, which I usually don't cover because I don't really care about it that much. You got a card which just has the figure on it. Usually it has original artwork on it, but no. Just a figure with some bio in the back. Terrence McGinnis. Right, then you have blast accessories for the feet, because he obviously flies around. They really put a lot of emphasis on the flying part by connecting those stupid wings. So you peg that in, has a very tight fit, and it does look pretty good. I gotta give him that. So you have one for each side, obviously. Then you have a red batarang in the symbol of the Batman Beyond, and then you got two, well, kind of trigger finger hands, guess for the batarang. Which is weird to me is that he doesn't have any fist hands. You just slide this in there somehow. That's not it. Okay, can't really do it. Anyway, you do get a base, and that's something that I gotta give him mad props actually, because you could say, well, the entire figure doesn't really have much paint and whatnot on it, so they went the extra mile, and again, emphasis on the wings. They were like, if we're gonna put the wings on there, we might as well put a base on here. It's a fairly simple base. You still have a pack in the bottom. If you don't want to use this, you can just slide that out over there. Don't want to use it right now because it might break off. You have this hinge, which is ratchet, so it should stay in place. The claw, they're also ratchet. As such, they stay in place. That's the biggest gripe I have with the Figure Arts base. That base is amazing, but the claw is almost useless sometimes because it doesn't have anything to keep it in place. And this one, and it's free, just like in this box with the figure. Figure isn't more expensive because of it, and I, again, give them mad prompts for this base. Final thoughts for this Batman of the Future, and I gotta say, I do respect it. Now, the good part is the mold, it looks amazing, it looks like Terry McGinnis. I mean, the first part to me personally is that they picked this. I'm a big fan of it, and I wanted to have a Batman Beyond figure for a long time, so that they did this, kudos to that. But anyway, yeah, it looks great. Doesn't have any paint, unfortunately. Also looks a little bit glossy on the gauntlets. I don't know if you saw that. I didn't really talk about it that much, but there's some parts that seem a little bit glossy. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but something to note. The articulation is McFarlane at its best, at its finest. Doesn't really have much issues with that, other than the crotch piece not really moving around that much. The accessories do come with quite a bit. The only omission I kind of don't understand is fist hands. How you don't have fist hands is also just weird. I do like the claw hands that are on the figure, and I guess you got the two hands, the kind of trigger finger hands for the batarang. And yes, you get a base and the energy effect on the feet. So what does it mean? On one hand, I love it. I love the figure on itself. It's nothing too fancy though, to be honest. Some shading and some paint would have been nice, but it is what it is, and it does get the job done. And I do also dislike the part that you can take off the wings. That doesn't hurt the figure though as much, because I was personally, if I was really hell-bent on taking the wings off, I would just rip them off and be done with it. But as such, as this, since it's kind of like the weird thing of like McFarlane be like, hey, I know you don't really like the wings, but here's energy effects for the feet. Here's a base. You can put them in a flying post. And that's kind of like the whole deal I'm getting out of this. It's just like McFarlane was really hell-bent on you using those wings and putting them into flying posts. So they just thrown all this stuff at you to be like, you should really try it out and put them in a flying post. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Okay, it looks cool. I gotta give it to them. So, anyway, what does that mean? I do like this figure, and I do recommend this figure if you're a fan of Batman Beyond, Batman of the Future. That's gonna do it, guys. As usual, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this review, hit it up with a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more figure reviews, card game stuff, and whatever Batman Beyond wants. Removable wings.